All right, people. So I checked out Netflix's new joint, Your Place or Mine, right? It is written and directed by Aline Brosh McKenna, and it's her feature directorial debut as well. The film is then produced by Jason Bateman, Aline Brosh McKenna, Michael Costigan, yep, and Reese Witherspoon. It's executive produced by Tracy Nyberg. Lauren Levy Neustadler also produced the film. So Heather Morris, Mary D. Howard, Emily Vernon Batch also executive produced the film, and it's co-produced by Shannon Vayo. Sidrath Kusla handled the music. Florian Balhaus was on cinematography. It's edited by Chris A. Petterson. Rona Kress handled the casting. William Arnold, production design. Set decoration is David Smith. Sophie Derakoff was on costume design. And our cast. Well, we have got Reese Witherspoon as Debbie Dunn. We have got Wesley Kimmel as her son Jack. Right? Her best friend is Peter Coleman, played by Ashton Kutcher. Then there's Minka, who is someone that Peter has hooked up with in the past. He's played by Zoe Chow. We have got Zen, played by Steve Zahn, who is Debbie's gardener. Her best friend is Alicia, played by Tig Notaro. There is Scarlett, played by Rachel Bloom. Right? There is Theo Martin, played by Jesse Williams. We've also got Professor Golden, played by Griffin Matthews, who is Jesse's friend. There is Becca, played by Vella Lavelle. Vanessa, played by Shiri Appleby. Evan and Wade go to the same school as Jack. Evan is played by Tanner Swagger, and Wade is played by Mystic Inskew. There's Alex, played by Michael Hitchcock. Sydney, played by Renee Goob. Dr. Rajas, played by Gloria Calderon Collette. Marissa, played by Brittany Young. I would say that is probably our main group of peoples. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. Now, the gist of the film, it is two long-distance best friends change each other's lives when she decides to pursue a lifelong dream and he volunteers to keep an eye on her teenage son. So, yeah, there you go. The tagline is 2 lives, 2 cities, 1 last chance. Ba-ba-ba-ba-boom. So, this film is straight safe. It just walks that line. It's not veering either side. It's not trying to be edgy or controversial. It is just going, what is the usual formula for these type of films? Right? That's what this is, you know? Which is a shame because, they're not. Well, Reese Witherspoon is a pretty decent actress. We have seen her really, jump into some good roles, man. And I think Kusha didn't do a bad job in Jobs. He has been in some garbage, but there have been times when he has like shown he's got some chops, you know. But this is remember there was that period of time when we had Gary Marshall put out those occasion films, like New Year's Eve. There's Valentine's Day. I feel there was another one thrown in there somewhere. But you know what I mean? He was doing those films. He had ensemble casts and multiple storylines, all about people meeting and falling, and they were just hokey as fuck. Even those are slightly more edgy than what this is. Like, everything that is gonna go down in this film. You just know it. And it's like all the situations, everything just seems to fall into place perfectly, right? It's trying to show something, but then the evidence we're given, you're just like, huh? Like Reese Witherspoon, her character Debbie, and she's meant to be, poorer than Ashton Kutcher's character Peter, but her house is nice. It's not like she's living in a shithole or anything like that. She has everything she needs. That's what we're seeing. Now, we might want to be like, oh, well, she's barely getting, it's not what they're showing us, right? But when she goes to Peter's, she's like, oh my God, this is so nice. Oh, but obviously, right, he has to live in a place that's all, oh, there's no handles. Oh, there's no pictures. There's no, you know what I mean? It's just doing that thing like, oh, he's successful. That means his life has to be hollow. Right, we see him in a relationship at the start, but then it, like, because at first you're like, oh, it's either a hookup, right? It's not a hookup, it's a relationship, and you're like, okay, well, this ain't lasting. And then the reason it ends is just a bit like, God damn it, this is so dumb. Like, it's just a question that you'd just be like, I kind of feel that would have been asked ages ago. Right? And the way the response to it, it's just like, yo, we're grown fucking people. You know what I mean? You know how to answer the question, right? And not upset someone, or to, if you're trying to hide your intentions, which you kind of feel he probably was, like, there's different ways. And that's not what we get. So it's just like, oh, okay, whatever. And Jack, Debbie's son, got all these allergies, but there's a bit in it when he's just like, you can eat, can you eat Mexican food? He's like, yeah. And it's just like, well, that's not the thing. Because technically you can eat any food from any country, but there's obviously, because there was a whole list that she went through, right? So there's all these things he can't eat. And a lot of those things you find in Mexican food. So that was just like, what's the point? Right? What's the point in this allergy? Because it doesn't really add anything. You want to, like, the whole thing, she's like overprotective. Well, he doesn't need allergies for that. You know what I mean? Like the whole ice hockey thing, again, is like, these things don't necessarily make any sense, what we're seeing. Right? If someone's meant to be hiding this thing, an oven isn't where you're going to be putting it, especially, right, when you've invited your friend over who cooks, right? She's not getting takeouts, so she'll be using the oven, right? It's just these dumb things. If it's like, wait, if you're hiding it, you're not hiding it in that way, right? That was just what? And there was a bit in the film where Peter has this epiphany, and it is, a girl that's like, I think this, and he's like, no, 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 and then suddenly, but it's like then this thing happens towards the end of the film, right? And then what he says, he declares, it's just like that's not true though. Because you only had this epiphany midway through that, oh, I think oh, I didn't know that happened. And it's just like, and then you're going, oh, forever since this, and it's just like, we're rewriting history here. What the fuck? There's characters that I don't know why. We've got Tig Nogueira's character or Steve Zahn's character. They added absolutely nothing to this film. They were pointless, which you can tell by these performances. It's just, there was nothing there. There's no personality. It's just like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, and that's not just on the actor, right? That's on the direction they're given, like the script. There's so many reasons why something isn't gonna pop. But yeah, this film, it's like it wanted to be this comedy, right? It wanted to be this really sweet, like touching, romantic film, and it just doesn't do either. Unfortunately, people. Unfortunately. You know what I mean? Because look, all about a good comedy, right? You want, after a long ass week, you want to just be out there, or a long day, just to sit back and chuckle. And that's just not what we're doing here, It's a shame. It's a shame. And yeah, as I said, look, Kutcher, like, he's been in some, like, Just Married, My Boss's Daughter, terrible films. Better than this one. Yeah. And guess who? Terrible, better than this one. Like, and as I said, look, this film, it's not that it's terrible. It's just, it doesn't commit. It doesn't commit to anything, which I feel is just such a shame. It's such a shame, because look, I feel it's better to just be terrible because you're going hard in one direction than to try and walk this invisible line and just not do anything, you know? It's just, everything is super predictable. And then the way it ends, right? Those films that, like, everyone's life just goes perfectly. And even though there's no experience, they get these opportunities that just like, huh? Like, you know what I mean? Because when we talk to people in real life that do those things, it's just like, oh yeah, it took this long and I had to do this and bum bum bum. Right? It's very rare that someone's just, walks into being this thing. Now, look, we know you can have a friend hook you up. You can be wealthy and get these opportunities. Ain't gonna be white and get these opportunities. You feel me? But like, to then go to be a success, that's where it gets like silly. That's where it gets silly every fucking time. Every time. Like, the conversations, none of these interactions felt like they were real interactions. Right? It's the way Jack talks to Debbie and Peter interact. It's just, nothing feels like it should, right? I talk to my girl all the time. Our conversations, like, we can laugh and, you know what I mean? It's great. I love the conversations, but they feel something. These conversations, they didn't feel anything. Right? And that's the craziness. And that whole thing, we tell each other everything. Is there something you want to tell me? It's just like, come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? You know? Urgh. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't think this was gonna be like incredible. It wasn't gonna be, away we go. Wasn't gonna be that. It wasn't going to be a Juno, right? Wasn't gonna be that. Wasn't gonna be a 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, you know, and Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, right? I wasn't expecting a Love Jones, but I was hoping, for something with just a little charm, right? That could make you smile, you know? And unfortunately, people, that is not what we got. But because you know what I like, right? You know what I will jump for. Sometimes I get surprised, you feel me? But I will say, right, if you like films like Guess Who, right? My Boss's Daughter, Just Married, Down to You, right? If those are your type of films, right? Who Got Mail, those sorts of things, then your place or mine is in the vein of the type of film that you will probably enjoy. That's what I would say. Like Long Weekend, Zoe Chow's film from a couple of years ago, that's a better film. That's a better film. But like Senior Year, that's on a similar kind of tip, right? So I kind of feel they're your barometers, people. You know what I mean? But it's on Netflix, so you can dip in and see what you think, right? But yeah, there you go. Your place or mine.